Hogstye.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Hogstye. It is the second round of the playoffs going on, but Washington's not in that. We're going to talk about the playoffs, though, to start off the show. This is Alex as your host. I got Steve, and I got Jamal. Guys, that first round of the playoffs, a lot of blowouts. But I want to get just like a quick take reaction from both of you. What did you think? What were your big headlines from that first round of the playoffs? And we'll start with Jamal. I'm gonna switch it up.
Uh-oh. You threw me for a loop.
Yeah, it's my biggest takeaway is, oh my goodness, like where do I start? I'm gonna start backwards and work my way forward.
All right.
The Cardinals game, I had a feeling that the Rams was gonna win, but like I never would have expected
A blowout.
but also for Kyler Murray to perform the way he did. Like, I understand the differences of like somebody like being off or inconsistent or having a bad game, but his game was worse than bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate for that to be your first outing, and for it to go that poorly. And the reason being is because, like, moving forward, those type of things can have a lasting effect as a pro quarterback. So
Sure.
I was worried, so that's kind of where that ends for that game. I'm not gonna go game by game, but just that was the one thing that stood out to me. And obviously the Cowboys. Shout out to San Francisco for bringing it. Shout out to Trent Williams for getting that dub, his first playoff game since leaving the Washington football team. And he got a dub, and he's on to the second round against the Packers. But yeah, thank you, San Fran, and I love messing with the Cowboys fans. So I had a great week.
Thank you, San Francisco, for making it so I can actually just, relax and enjoy the playoffs and not have to worry about the Cowboys somehow having any success. Because, that ruins the playoffs. If that happens.
That's what we fall into here, folks. It's not like will Washington do anything in the playoffs or even get there in the first place. It's, as long as Dallas is out,
Absolutely.
That's our Super Bowl is when Dallas loses.
Steve, to be fair, I would have been like that even in the 90s and 80s when we were still a good team. It's just hatred of Dallas.
Well, granted, I hate Dallas too, but I just think it's funny that is the big big moment for all.
It's all we
Washington
have, damn it.
Yeah. My 2 points were sort of the same. I mean, Arizona looked totally outclassed in every way. I'm not the world's biggest Kyler Murray fan like some people are. I just think at some point he's going to snap in two. He's just too short. But
that one play where he threw a pick six and he was getting hit in the end zone. He looks like he's getting ragdolled just because he's so small.
Yeah, if he's 5'10", I'm 6 foot.
Right.
There's no way he's 5'10". But anyway, yeah, I expected it to not be that close, just because they're new. They're new in the playoffs. So
sure.
But Dallas, we got to talk about Dallas. That last play, I know all Dallas fans are all mad about that, but the simple fact of the matter is Dallas was not prepared for that. Number one, it was a stupid play call. Number one, didn't really accomplish anything. But beyond that, if you're going to call that, the team should have been ready. The quarterback should have known what to do with the ball. The players, like I think it was CD Lamb, was like walking back to the line of scrimmage after that. So Dallas, do not blame the refs on that. Dallas has only themselves to blame for what happened on that play. So that's that one. And yeah, obviously they just totally laid it. That was one game I totally blew on my predictions. I thought
the
Dallas
game. I think we both did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And the rest of them, I was surprised that the Bills did as well as they did.
Mm-hmm.
It looked
Me
as
too.
well.
I thought the
Patriots
Patriots would beat the Bills, so I was surprised too.
Yeah, I think I predicted a Bills victory, but not
did.
by a humongous, blowout like that.
So my two takeaways, and of course one of them has to do with the Cowboys game. This has to do with the broadcasters. It was real. The most pathetic thing I heard was Troy Aikman complaining that he didn't get to do the Cowboys game while doing the Eagles-Bucks game. Was that it?
Did you say that?
Yeah, Eagles-Bucks, the one right
Towards
before
the end of the Eagles-Bucks game when it's a blowout, there's nothing to talk about. He was just whining about, I really wanted to do the Cowboys game, you know?
Troy Aikman really said that on national television.
So he didn't say it like that, but
Yeah.
like verbatim. But that's what he was saying. He was just saying, I wish we had the next game.
Right.
Versus this one.
But don't worry, folks. He's certainly impartial.
Right. He was saying, I wish we had the next game because a lot of people will like to hear me call the next game. Something along those lines.
No, only Dallas fans would like you to hear you call the next game, Troy.
So that was annoying, right? That's really pathetic. First off, Troy Aikman, you've got millions of dollars and you call games and you're fine at it. You're not great. You think you're much better than you are.
I like him. If he can just stay away from the Dallas stuff.
He's above average.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bad broadcasters out there right now. He's at least decent.
I think he's better.
Then, my God, Tony Romo became insufferable in that Cowboys game.
He got a tires turn.
Right? Like, Tony Romo calling that Cowboys game. I put this out on our Twitter, so not safe for your kids. Put on the earmuffs for a second. I've never heard a man have multiple orgasms on air like that.
Oh, my God.
And he was doing that calling the Cowboys game. It was the most pathetic thing how completely biased he got, especially in that final drive that the Cowboys had. You know, he started doing the one thing that you should never do as a broadcaster, never start calling the team we, because he was doing that at one point. You know, like that, you have to maintain some kind of impartiality, or at least pretend to. It was really sad. And then, of course, that whole meltdown in the end, and Mike McCarthy defending calling a draw play. Yeah, that was the plan. We planned for that, and that's
what did he think was going to happen?
Right. This was your plan, and he said that he believed the refs were going to give him more time on the clock. What the hell's that about? That's not how football works.
Well, here's how I saw it. They were on, the 40-yard line or so?
Yeah, 40, 41.
Yeah.
14 seconds.
Dak Prescott had had more than enough arm strength to heave the ball into the end zone on a Hail Mary.
Sure.
You know, what is another 10 yards going to do? Let's pretend that they could have pulled it off, and then they had actually trained for this and practiced this and knew how to do it. What is the difference going to be for a final, long shot ball into the end zone from the 40 versus the 30? I'd rather have it be from the 40 to open the field up a little bit more.
I would say that you probably have more plays in your playbook from the 30 that you can call, whereas from the 40, you are basically just calling Hail Marys.
Well, listen, from the 30 it is too. If the ball doesn't go in the end zone, there's no point.
Sure. In the end, yes.
I ain't have a problem with the play call. I just feel like the move to get the extra yards was also in part to the fact that, if you all remember, like the 3 or 4 plays prior, San Fran was allowing these easy outs to go for like 15, 20 something yards, like 3 or 4 plays in a row. And the play that they called the draw, like literally that was the first play where they said, you know what, we stopping all that out stuff. So
yeah, they lined up in a box defense, basically, just line up on the edges.
Yeah, so it's 2 options. Yes, you could have passed it over the middle as well. Got the same result, got like 10 something yards, go down. But at the same time, like, I just feel like it really just came down to not the play call itself, but the execution. Like, Dak wasn't ready. The offensive lineman wasn't ready.
They spotted the ball wrong, by the way.
That on top of the fact that Dak didn't even know when to go down. Like, that was another issue where he got an extra 5 or 6 yards where he shouldn't have. Like, he should have
gone down earlier. It would have saved another second or two.
Yeah. So I say all that to say, like, I just feel like it was much more context than good call, bad call. They saw, look, it was reasonable. They didn't execute it at all. Like, it went from out of a possible 10 out of 10, they executed 0.5. I give them 0.5 for thinking to run the sneak, and that's it.
I just thought that, at the end of the day, that play is either going to win the game or end the game.
Yeah.
Obviously San Francisco's playing that defense, or they had their entire secondary lined up on the sidelines, whatever.
That's why I call it a box. It's basically you have the front line,
it looked kind of like a box
on the sidelines, and the safeties are in the back.
Yeah,
they made a big square.
But the odds of him, making it 40 yards into the end zone were slim, and so I don't know what they really expected to happen. I wouldn't have called the play personally. I would have tried a sideline route. If it didn't work, throw it away, live to fight another day. That's what I personally would have done.
I could even understand it if you call a draw and he's got to run out of bounds. Like, then, that would make some sense too. But anything that puts the clock moving is just a mistake.
I thought. Yeah, I agree with Alex, but it is what it is. And I was very happy to see them totally bungle it. Because, again, that was a designed play call, as McCarthy said.
Right.
And they were utterly unprepared for it, for all the reasons Jamal said. I mean, Dak didn't know what to do. The offensive lineman didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
That receiver, I think it was CeeDee Lamb, showed no
hustle.
urgency at all. They tried to spot the ball themselves. And, it was just the whole thing was very poorly done, so they deserve what they got.
Yeah,
and frankly, with all their talent, they shouldn't have been in that position in the first place. They just played badly the entire game.
That's probably also something that
you think in the mouth.
Yeah, at some point they're gonna have to look back and say, maybe we shouldn't have made 14 penalties, and you probably had more that didn't get called.
They're the most penalized team in the league. If you've been following No One from Tampa's Hold On column every week, this.
Yep. The only other game I enjoyed the Raiders-Bengals game. That one was a lot closer, and of course that had its own controversies around the refs.
It wasn't controversy. It was a totally blown call.
Yeah. I mean, it annoys me. I think that here's the thing, where that ball was in the pass. Like, I don't think the whistle actually impacted the play like some people are claiming. There's no way that within 1/4 of a second the corner would have changed anything.
It looked to me like the secondary stopped once the whistle blew.
The ball was already in the end zone when the whistle blew.
I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah. Well,
I don't agree with you.
Well, I like freeze framed it. The ball was past.
But the bottom line is, how did the refs not understand that if you blow the whistle, the play is dead?
Yeah, of course they should know that. Now, I don't like that the refs do that. Like, they shouldn't be blowing the whistle anyway.
Well, he was wrong to blow the whistle. He was not out of bounds.
Right,
but that's not the point. It was a double bad call. It was you blew that obvious call, and then you didn't stop the play when the whistle blew.
Right. No, I'm not going to defend any of that. I'm just saying, to me, I don't think. Like, if the whistle didn't get blown, it's still going to be a touchdown.
It looked to me like the corner, like the secondary.
I think the corner was already beat. That's what it really was. He was already beat anyway. Doesn't matter.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
So yeah, that was the only other big thing. Why don't we talk about, because we got some other things we had on the agenda for today. So why don't we also talk about the next round of the playoffs?
Okay.
You got 4 games. I'll read them off in order. We can kind of go through them and just give our predictions here. I think that's what we did last time, right? Let's start with Bengals Titans.
Okay.
Since that's the first game.
Let me throw it out there before you guys start that the line is Titans -3.5.
Okay. And they're at home.
It's at home.
So it's kind of a toss-up.
A little bit of a toss-up, yeah. I think this is going to be maybe the closest game of one of the closest games of the weekend. They didn't play each other in the regular season, so we don't have that to go by. The Bengals seem to be on a bit of a roll. They believe in Joe Burrow. They kind of have some weird it factor, I thought. And so they have that going for them. The Titans obviously haven't had Derrick Henry since halfway through the season. And so their running game has suffered, exponentially with that.
Right.
Ryan Tannehill is a good but not great quarterback. His numbers are okay. The Titans were ranked number 1 in the AFC with only 12 wins. Right. And they didn't have a tough schedule either. They lost to the Jets.
The softest division in the league, I think, still.
Yeah, well, and they played the Dolphins, they played the Jets. They lost to the Jets in overtime in week 4. So they're a pretty weak number 1 seed in my view. But at the end of the day, I'm going to say it's over for the Bengals, and the Titans win a close game. But they cover, but it's a close game.
Jamal, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a cover in a close game. It's just interesting from the standpoint of like strength versus strength. On the Titans side of the ball, obviously, it's the run game and getting Derrick Henry back with the rise of Dante Foreman in his place is just that's going to be an interesting matchup, seeing how they do well at the line of scrimmage and the blockers. But then at the same time, on the opposite end, you got an offense who has the strength in their passing attack, and the Titans defense has one of the worst secondaries in the NFL. And you have these strength versus strengths, and knowing that Cincinnati has given up 51 sacks a game, like can Joe Burrow buy himself enough time, or can the offensive line buy him enough time to find those receivers downfield? I'm looking forward to seeing like how good of a game it is. It's an interesting matchup where both offenses have advantages, and I think Titans win, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals went outright. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
So I'm looking online, and it doesn't seem like it's a lock that Derrick Henry's 100% at this point, is he? Like, I'm looking at headlines, some saying yes, some saying no. If he's in there, I think you got to give the edge to the Titans, but I don't. If Henry still can't play for some reason, I really do like the Bengals, man. I like what Joe Burrow's kind of bringing in the playoffs here. I thought he played really well last week. I could easily see the Bengals getting a good upset, and it'd still be close, like you guys are saying, but I could see the Bengals taking the Titans here. And
it's going to be a close game. This is going to be a good one to watch.
That's going to be a fun one. Also, people don't think about it. These two teams are very close to each other regionally speaking. That's actually a nice little regional battle, geographically. Which I think, that always adds some fun to a football game. All right.
Okay,
next.
If you want to hear the real story with Henry, here it is.
Okay.
So the Titans designated Henry to return before Week 18, and so they have a 21-day window to bring him back.
Okay.
So he's eligible to come back. You have to assume that they'll probably activate him, even if he ends up being a decoy. I mean, I would assume.
All right. So he'll be active. Who knows how much he'll play?
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk next game, not next round. 49ers at Packers. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. I wanted to make sure I'm going through the schedule the right way.
Line is Packers -6.
Okay. So not a shock there that's the line. And the 49ers played well last week, but it's going to be very hard to bet against that Packers offense with Aaron Rodgers. It just is.
Yeah. That having been said, Packers only scored 450 points this year. Which is good but not great. Their offense has been better in other years, but they still have Devontae Adams out there in his Mr. 1,500 yards receiving.
Sure.
Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer. All of that stuff. So certainly edge, green advantage Packers. But I don't think this is necessarily the greatest Packers team that they've ever had. Their defense is good but not great. San Francisco, they just crushed Dallas, but you have to. Oh, and they did play in Week 3 this season. Green Bay won 30-28. It was in San Francisco. For me, I just can't believe Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is on a mission. He has been for a while now, so I don't think he's going to let this team go out in their first playoff game this year. So I'm going to say Packers cover, but another close game.
Yeah, you're probably right there. Jamal?
Yeah, I'm about to say same boat. I think Packers cover, but it's a close game. For the reasons, Steve already spoke, so I'm not going to hold y'all too long. I do think if there's one thing that would interest me is how well the Packers defense holds up against the San Fran 49ers offense, because the last few weeks of the season it hasn't been good for the Packers. So was it a fluke, or did they get their act together over this bye week? We'll see.
And the only thing I'll add is, I think we all agree the Packers are probably going to take this one. But, man, that 49ers run game, it was fun to watch last week. And you look at what they do with their running game, and I just see all the weapons Washington's had, and I'm like, why haven't they been doing this? You've had multiple guys who are receivers who can run, running backs who can play receiver, and there's just no creativity compared to what San Francisco does with that kind of running game, which annoys me. But I really I'm gonna enjoy watching that part of that game.
So what did you predict? Packers?
Oh yeah, I'm predicting Packers.
By the way, screw Trent Williams. I'm petty enough to not wish him luck at all. So screw him.
Okay, you're still mad at Trent Williams?
Absolutely.
I say thank you, Trent Williams. You helped us get rid of Bruce Allen. That's what I say. All right, let's talk Rams Bucks.
Line for that is Bucks -2.5.
Okay, so very close.
Jamal, you go first this time. I babbled last time.
All right. So for me, I have the Rams covering. I'm not bold because I have the Buccaneers in my Super Bowl prediction. So it's still alive between the Buffalo Bills and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So you'll know where I'm be going with the Buffalo Bills game as well. But I do have the Buccaneers winning, but it's going to be a close one. I think the Rams cover. For whatever reason, I like what the Rams are doing. I like their defense. Up front, obviously, is going to test against a Buccaneers offense who's a little banged up. To be honest with you, I don't know the status of the guy. I forgot his name who went down. Tristan Wurtz, I believe. Like I'm not. I think that was him. I'm not known of the status right now, but just seeing how they can pressure from the edge with Vaughn and get some interior with Aaron Donald. I would love to see how that matchup ends up working out, but in the end, I don't think it'll be enough because at the end of the day, Brady is Brady, and he'll find a way to move on, especially at home as well. So I got to give it to the Bucks to win a close one.
Yeah. As far as Tristan Wurtz goes, he's the one that they're most worried about. Ankle injury. I have their injury report here from Wednesday, and he did not participate. They have a whole bunch of DNPs actually. They're banged up. Ronald Jones, DNP. Brashad Perriman, DNP. JPP didn't practice. But Wurtz is the one they're most worried about. Yeah, look, I find it hard to believe that Saint Brady is going to lose at home. I just have a trouble believing that. So I'm going to say Bucks win this game, and they cover because the line's only 2.5. But I think this is going to be another very close game that's going to come down to the end. But I just think that at the end of the day, Tommy's going to find a way to win.
All right, I'm gonna go with my heart, not my head, on who's gonna win. I'm gonna say the Rams actually beat the Buccaneers this time. I think LA, they've gone all in on trying to win now. And that's obviously been their philosophy the last 2-3 seasons. Going after a lot of big name a lot of big name trades for draft picks and things like that. And the Bucks being banged up like they are, that can be a distraction. This whole weird thing they have with Bruce Arians, and he's getting a $50,000 fine or something like that?
Got a $50,000 fine for hitting his own player in the head. Yeah.
Little distractions like that can be all it takes to get you out of your mojo and lose a playoff game. So, to me, and I'm grasping at straws, hoping that the Rams can pull this one out.
Hey, so, I'm right there with you. My rooting interest is certainly the Rams.
Right. And it's probably not the right way to go if you're gonna bet, but that's the way my heart takes me. So let's go. Last game. This is easily gonna be the best game, I think, of the week. NFL, good job putting this one, as your final game of the week.
It's just luck.
Mm-hmm.
It's just luck.
You think they don't?
I know it's luck. I've been doing these playoff previews for years. It's
okay.
They have these seedings lined up ahead of time.
No, luck. I know the seeding is. I'm saying the schedule. Putting it
the
at
schedule
Sunday.
is done ahead of time. They know the high seed is going to be in what game already. This is not anything they planned. The line is Chiefs -1.5 in this game, by the way.
Okay, so Bills versus Chiefs toss up basically with that line. This one's just going to be a shootout, right? Like I think we all know that this is just going to be like a good, crazy old offensive shootout, AFC style. I'm excited. I don't know about you guys.
Sure, it's gonna be a good game. I mean, the Chiefs can't stop anybody.
No.
Now Buffalo's defense is outstanding. They were number 1 in the NFL in points allowed. I'm not a huge Josh Allen fan. I think he's overrated as a passer. He's obviously a great runner, but take that away from his game, and I don't think he's that good, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, this is a tough one. What I have written in my game preview here, which is subject to change, is Chiefs in a close game. But I don't know if I even believe that myself, to be perfectly honest. But I'm going to stick with it. Yeah, I think Chiefs in a close one.
I'm going to go Bills. I think that, obviously, like I said, y'all know where my Super Bowl pick is going. So I got.
Yeah, it wasn't a surprise that Jamal picked the Bills.
Yeah. But the thing with me also is not just necessarily because that's my de facto pick, but when you look at how they played against the Patriots, but look at how they finished the season too, them guys they've lost some wild games this year. Like there's no excuses like for a loss against the Jaguars. It was the Jaguars. So it's no excuses for certain losses like that. And there was another thing I can't think of right now, but they found their way when they were able to go against the Patriots on the road. I believe I got to look it up now, but I believe that was week 16, and they got that dub, and they found their stride once again after the midst of like losing 3 or 4 out of their 5 games or something like that. They've won and improved ever since. So I say that to say like this offense is something that you can rely on again. I believe that what you saw in Josh Allen's performance earlier in the year against the Chiefs is something that's going to be similar this week. But I do think the defense of the Buffalo Bills is going to be in trouble no matter how good they are statistically. That offense is going to have some answers for a lot of the things that Buffalo Bills do well. So especially these speed guys. So they'll be challenged. But I do think the Bills find a way to get it done. It's Josh Allen's year.
I was listening to, I can't remember which radio program it was, one of the weekend sports talk guys, and they were talking about the Bills. And one of the things they said that I thought is interesting is the Bills basically went into the entire offseason with a plan of how do we build a team to beat the Chiefs. So it's going to be very interesting to see if that plan that they had, which involved how they drafted and all that stuff, pays off here. And I think it will. I think, the Bills just are kind of hot right now. They've been hot, at the right time. And we did see Kansas City struggled out of the gate versus the Steelers a little bit. Not much. They obviously took it to them in the end, but it felt like that first quarter they were, not all there to me. So that'll be. I'm gonna go Bills, but I do think it's gonna be a fun one. That's for damn sure.
What sold it for me, which I didn't mention before, is that the Bills and the Chiefs played each other in Week 5 in Kansas City, and the Bills won that game. I find it hard to believe a lot of times that a good team is going to get beat by the same team twice in 1 year. That's a tough thing to do, and so that's a big reason why I picked the Chiefs in that game.
Okay. All right, so that covers the divisional round, and then we'll have the conference champions, and then the Pro Bowl, and then the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Pro Bowl. Yeah, let's cover that.
Yeah. Well, hey, we won't even be talking about that because that'll be 4 days after the new uniforms and name are out. So we'll be focused on other things other than the Pro Bowl. All right, so that wraps that part up. Next topic. It's we have to start our free agency previews. Oh, did you want to do the ad?
Yeah.
All right. We were going to do the ad after free agency, but let's do the ad now because we did run long there.
Yeah, we ran a little long. Okay, we have an ad. I'm going to read it. So listen up.
Yay, ads. We like money.
This ad is DraftKings. Again, we're on to the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is celebrating with a huge odds boost for new customers. Counting down to Super Bowl 56, new customers can get 56-1 odds on any team. Just bet $5 and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you can still get in on the action of the divisional round. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Football Contest. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code HOGSTY and get 56-1 odds on any NFL team. Just bet $5 and win $280 in free bets if your team wins. That's promo code HOGSTY for 56-1 odds at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, since we just did the ad, and that's actually a pretty enticing offer, I'm going to ask you, you can put your bet on one team from this round, and you get those 56-1 odds, so you want that money, right? What's your one team?
Packers.
Jamal?
Yeah.
Excuse me, Packers.
All right, we're all going Packers. Packers is probably the best bet of that for that thing.
So to finish up the DraftKings thing, the DraftKings ad, we're recommending that you put your 56-1 odds, put them on your $5, your bet on the Packers. That's what we're doing.
We are not responsible if somehow the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, don't blame us if you lose.
But still, Packers, do it. All right, we have to do our free agency preview next because we have a lot of positions to go through for free agency. So we are going to start with Steve picked tight ends as the week 1 free agency preview.
So we basically we're counting backwards from when free agency starts in the middle of March, which is the legal tampering period starts on the 14th. Free agency starts on the 16th. And so that meant we had to start this today to get this in. So I picked tight ends, frankly, because it was the easiest one, I think.
Sure. Not a big need for Washington.
Because I didn't have a lot of time to prepare for this, you know, sorry to say. Because, look, Washington has their number 1 tight end. There's no question. Logan Thomas, there's no question. And Washington has their number 2 tight end. There's no question. That's John Bates. And, they have Samus Reyes on the roster. He's just a project. Certainly I think Washington will sign 1 or 2 tight ends somewhere to fill out the training camp roster at least.
We don't know how bad Vicky Seals-Jones is.
So what they're not going to do here, there's a bunch of guys who are very high money guys available at the top here. Zach Ertz, Jimmy Graham, Rob Gronkowski, CJ Uzoma, Eric Ebron, Gerald Everett, all these guys had over $6 million average annual value in 2021. Rob Gronkowski didn't come into DC no matter what.
No, Rob Gronkowski.
But they're not going to sign any of those guys. And Alex, you're muted. The next tier down to me, there's some possibilities in here. Maybe guys like Jared Cook with the Chargers made a little bit less money. Max Williams with the Cardinals. Mo Alley Cox with the Colts, Robert Tanyan with the Packers. Of that group, and OJ Howard with Tampa, maybe he's not been, and you're still no, Alex. OJ Howard was supposed to be the next big thing and really hasn't been. So maybe they'll let him go. To me, of that group, I can see Washington spending a little bit of money on tight ends because they want to have a solid backup. The guy like Robert Tanyan, who has been a backup in Green Bay, maybe he will take sort of a 1-year type of prove it deal. I think he would be a good candidate for Washington. But to be perfectly honest, the odds are that Washington's going to sign somebody that nobody's ever thought of. Ricky Seals-Jones obviously did very well last year. He's looking for a payday. He proved he can be a starter. So I would certainly like to have him back, but I don't know if he wants to be back because he's going to want to get paid and not going to want to pay him a ton. So they're going to have to find a guy who can be on a 1-year prove it deal.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Of those guys I read, Robert Tanyan might be a good one. Probably won't be, but that's kind of my initial thoughts as to this group here. The odds are, again, that we're going to see someone that nobody's ever heard of is going to be their third string tight end. So thoughts? I don't know, Alex, if you figured out your issues here yet.
Yeah, I mean, it looks to me like I'm talking. Are you hearing me?
That would be a no.
Jamal can hear me. Right, Jamal?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, good. Okay. You know what? Yeah, It was me.
I'm sitting here panicking, thinking my mic just died in the middle.
My cord pulled out of. I didn't hook up my cord pulled out of my headphones. So I just kept babbling. I wasn't sure if Alex was dead in the water or what.
Yeah, I was talking too, so I was like, it made sense. I said something a few times.
Yeah. I heard that too. All right. This is what happens when you do podcasts, folks. Sometimes technology fails.
People. Yep. It's live.
Well, it's recorded, but
it's live on recording.
It's also fun just to have mistakes in here. Yeah. So I look at that group that you went through there, and I mean I think we're all on the same page, right? This is not we're not going to be spending big money on a tight end. To me, it all comes down to, do they think Ricky Seals-Jones is going to be healthy?
Can they afford him, though? Can they afford him?
Yeah, can they afford? I mean, well, he made, $1 million last year?
Yeah, but he proved – my thing with Ricky Seals, I'd love to have him back. I just think he's going to look to make more money than Washington's going to spend on a tight end.
Yeah, you might be right about that.
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, though, because when you're talking about Logan Thomas being out until possibly December. Maybe no, I don't remember what month. I think it was whenever the Raiders game was, like a year from then. Like, do you really want to go and try and search for something when you got John Bates and Ricky Seals? So, and that way you can just use those two individuals and find a draft prospect, or even if you want to go a little bit more aggressive to build up your roster on the offensive side, if you want to go for that star, because it ain't no telling what Logan Thomas is going to look like when he get back, given his age, and the fact that he had a lower body injury. Like, it ain't no telling. So you may want to go a little bit harder than going for a backup or a
That's a good point.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, how long Thomas might be out for. That's a fairly big concern, honestly.
It's an ACL injury. That man is about to be 32, I believe. And that's kind of the thing that concerns me. Like, he was really good. He was growing on me. I wasn't that big of a fan of him initially, but when you have an injury like that late in your career, I'm not saying, he's proven to bounce back or that he hasn't proven to bounce back. It just becomes more difficult because, it's like recovering at 28 is in the NFL is much better than recovering at 32.
Right. That those are all fair points about Logan Thomas. I mean, he's probably, given that he is, and I think he's actually turning 31 next year.
31, okay.
Yeah. But look, that in the NFL, you hit the 3, unless you're a quarterback, you're in the twilight years at that point. So there's a fair chance that he could be done, and he's not a long-term answer.
Even that, if that is the case, I still don't think there's any way they're going to spend top money on one of these top tight ends. The Zach Ertzes of the world. There's no way they're going to spend $8 million on a guy like that. I don't think.
Right, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't spend that money. But like, if you look at that list and you're like, who's the
Max
guy
Williams is another decent player. I like Max Williams. I think he's a good one. Jared Cook was the hot hand a couple years ago, for tight ends when he signed with the Chargers. Remember,
right?
but he's going to be 35 himself.
But like David Njoku, who's 25 right now, leaving Cleveland. He was a name that people were, going after. What was it, last year in a trade? Like, I don't know what he would command, because I feel like he didn't set the world on fire. But we're also in a time when there's not a lot of elite tight ends anymore. It's not like it was 20 years ago when it felt like every good team had to have a great tight end.
Well, I mean, depends what you want. Okay, so Spotrac, I just looked up David Njoku's value on Spotrac, and they have him at 6.9 million in terms of average annual value.
Okay.
With a market value of 4 years, 27 million. See, I don't know, man. I mean, I get what you're saying, but that's a lot.
That is for a tight end.
Yeah, for this, I mean, they're paying Logan Thomas that much,
right?
But they want to pay a second guy that much. I just don't think they do.
No, I mean, look, you don't want to have to go into a situation where suddenly you've got two expensive tight ends, and you got to figure out how to make them both happy, right? And the weird thing about David Njoku is he's not like he's ever put up huge numbers. I've just pulled up his stats. He put up less than 500 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's nothing to write home about. He puts up, those are number 2 numbers. They're not number 1 numbers. So
that's why I mentioned Robert Tanyan before, with the Packers. They've got Mercedes Lewis there. Tanyan is a part-time starter, but he did have 52 catches in 2020, 586 yards. Didn't do much this year. But the guy has shown he can play some, but they have other tight ends on the roster in Green Bay, so I don't think that would be a half bad. I'm just spitballing here, but I don't think that would be a half bad.
I think they need to bring in some more competition. As much as I was, hoping Reyes would, be like a diamond in the rough. He didn't really do anything.
Well, I mean, the man has never played football. I don't know what anybody expected. I remember when Mark Bullock was on the show, and Mark and I agreed. I was like, listen, I mean, put him on the practice squad.
We get lucky.
Well, yeah, sure, but I mean, I wouldn't have carried him on the active roster the whole year. I would just throw him on the practice squad. If they lose him, so what?
Completely forgot about Samus.
Yeah.
See, I mean, yeah, and you cover the team every day, and you forgot all about him. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, that ain't. I mean, we always knew it was gonna be a project, so I'm not gonna have a definitive conclusion on that man's career. But Jesus Christ, like only thing he did was take pictures for Instagram, but ain't suit up for nothing.
Well, he did get that nice big billboard in his hometown for Pepsi too. So yeah.
I can't blame him for that. I mean, cash in.
No one's blaming him for it.
I guess when you come from Chile, there's not too many Chilean American athletes. So he was the first. Remember, he was the first one to ever play American football.
Yeah. Well, looking over the guys who really performed well, I don't think Schultz is leaving Dallas, obviously, and I wouldn't want to pay him.
No.
I think the real question just comes down to, at least for me, do they want to get somebody younger who could be a number 1, or do they just want to get like a good veteran, somebody in their 30s, to kind of fill in for Logan Thomas while he's out and be a good backup after that?
Well, I think to answer that question, you got to look at Ron Rivera's history of free agent signings. And remember that since he's been in Washington, he's really had 2 big free agent signings. He's had 1 big free agent signing and 2 that he missed on.
Sure.
He signed Curtis Samuel to a fairly big deal, but not an outrageous deal.
Right.
He offered huge money to Amari Cooper, who stayed in Dallas, and then he was going to pay a lot to get Matthew Stafford. But beyond that, they've signed mid-tier guys who they believe in. The Logan Thomases of the world, the Ricky Seals-Joneses of the world. They brought Eric Flowers back. guys like that. So I just don't see, especially with this group, maybe some other position groups, they might go big, but I just don't see anything but like a mid-tier backup they believe in, short 1-2 year deal kind of signing for this position group.
You might, and there's probably an argument to be said that they had more luck with those guys than the big names. So.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say they wouldn't have been better with Amari Cooper on the roster, but
no, but I'm saying the guys they did sign who were big names, none of them, they've all gotten hurt.
Yeah. I mean, you could. I think William Jackson, for example, has talent, but certainly he had his problems. There was another mid-level, fairly large signing, and yeah, I mean, they did pretty well, I thought, in their mid-tier signings last year.
Mm.
I mean, think about it. Deandre Carter, look at what he did.
Right. Yeah, that was the one surprise for me. Deandre Carter. I know what their idea was. Obviously, heading into the season, is that they wanted to find that return man, someone who could do both kick return and punt return. And lo and behold, DeAndre hit that mark, but also provided or showed that he could provide some spark on offense too. And I think that was the added side that nobody really saw coming, given how his career was heading into his first season with Washington. He's just been a journeyman.
Yeah. I mean, look, I will be interested to see, because that's where they've had more success. Maybe they just need to stick to that and go for somebody like, I don't know, J.P. Holtz or somebody who's lesser known, although he's a restricted free agent, so probably won't happen there.
Their first choice ought to be Ricky Seals-Jones. They know him. He knows the system. Again, I just personally think he's going to go for bigger money. But
yeah.
I'd like to point one other thing out here real fast. Okay. Do you guys remember Donald Parham, who was with training camp last year? And I wrote this big film study about him, and he looked like a gigantic slot receiver, basically.
Yeah.
If anybody didn't realize, he caught on and actually did some stuff with the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually ended up having 398 yards with the Chargers. He's the one that had that horrible-looking injury where everybody thought he was paralyzed there, in one of those games at the end of the season. I think it was on Monday Night Football. He's fine, apparently, now, but he is...
he had 190 yards, Steve. 398 catches.
Am I looking at the wrong... that's snaps. Sorry.
Yeah, you're snaps.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, that's right. But point is, he can play, but he's a restricted rights free agent.
Yeah, so he's probably not leaving.
No, but I just like to pat myself on the back for being right about him. That's all. Yeah.
Congratulations, Steve. You were right about that guy.
Thank you.
All right. Let me quickly go. All right. I know we have to wrap up soon, but there were some Washington-related stories that came out this week. The quick hits, because no one's going to care other than maybe Steve. The Washington football team's head lawyer, or I don't know, what is it?
General counsel.
Damon Jones. He has left the Washington football team. He was with the Nationals before he was here on the football team, and now he's going to Steve's Dodgers to be the assistant GM. So congratulations to him, because, that's a nice little move up, and I'm sure a pretty big pay bump to become the assistant GM for the Dodgers.
Probably. I mean, the Redskins are cheapskates, so probably, and the Dodgers aren't. So
right. Well, and also the title also just comes with some cachet, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He's being replaced by Mally Jones, who Miss Jones apparently prior to this was the general counsel for the XFL. So there you go.
That doesn't bode well.
No. I'm sorry, not Parham. Jones was apparently
Parham is not it.
No. Jones was spearheading the stadium search, apparently, and there was some news about the stadium search, if you guys didn't hear, where the new governor of Virginia is trying to get the baseball stadium authority that Virginia had in the 90s when they were trying to get an expansion team. He's trying to reignite that to find a spot for a stadium for the Washington football team. And the two locations they're looking at, the one was West Landover, so like outskirts of Landover, and the other's all the way down in Dale City. which is like.
Wait a minute, I'm confused. You said Landover. That's Maryland. Did you not?
I'm sorry, not Landover. Laurel or not.
That's Maryland too.
What's the county Ashford's in? Why am I blanking on it?
Loudoun County.
Loudoun, West Loudoun.
That's a long way out.
Yes. Yeah, like end of the Silver Line, which isn't even built yet.
See, the thing is about that, you really do have to wonder if they put a team way, way out in the west part of Loudoun County, what does that do for the fans in Maryland? I'm not talking about inside the Beltway people, but like if you're outside the Beltway, kind of headed towards Baltimore, are you really going to root for a team that's out in Loudoun County, or are you just going to transfer over to the Ravens? That'd be my fear.
Oh, if they go to like Leesburg, which is what I would think of Western Loudoun County, and by the way, that's like the center. Like there's further west than that.
That's a long way.
Yeah. Oh, Maryland's gone at that point. Like you just have to accept there's not going to be a Maryland fan base there.
Well, I don't think that. I mean, if you're inside the Beltway, you're not going to root for the Ravens. Jamal is perfect. Jamal,
Washington football team once they're in Leesburg.
Jamal lives in Maryland, inside the Beltway, correct?
Yeah.
So what do you think?
I mean, personally, like I don't go to the games anyway. So like if they moved away from Loudoun County, moved to Loudoun, I mean, it wouldn't make no difference to me. And I mean, truthfully, if I did decide to go to a game out there, it's just as simple as me just making a day out of it. Hang out for a minute, I just know I'm gonna spend some time out there and just head home when I want to, because like I don't really like the traffic anyway. That's the main reason why I don't go to the games. But secondly, like you got to make a commitment, given the team is where they are. Like you got to make a commitment. Like I'm gonna go up there and enjoy myself, but I know they probably lose type deal. Like that's how things are looking right now. So for me, my situation is different. Maybe there are some other people who are passionate about going to the game every week. Season ticket holders, I don't think that's really going to stop them, but they may complain a little bit. I just feel like it's one of those situations personally where I've come across fans like social media who are living out of state and still find their ways to these games. So I think a move to Loudoun, like when I take all that stuff into consideration, I'm like that move to Loudoun, it's not going to stop people who want to go from going. Like they're going to find a way to go.
If you're going to build it that far out, you almost have to talk about building like a new bridge over the Potomac River to try and get Maryland fans over there. Because that is just a haul. Like even from me in the city, you put it in either of those locations, it is faster for me to get to Baltimore at that point than to Leesburg.
Yeah, but Alex, I don't think you're a good representative sample because you hate leaving the city. You're a city guy.
No, I don't hate leaving the city. I hate going to Virginia. I love going to Maryland.
Okay, but that's barely leaving, okay? You don't like to leave the urban D.C. area, and so other people aren't going to mind as much as you. All my point was, I think once you start getting up like, what's up there, like Silver Spring up there,
yeah,
that's when I would wonder if you're going to start to maybe lose some fans to the Ravens up there.
Oh, I think you absolutely are looking at that happening. I think that's happening at any move to Virginia.
I think they should probably put the stadium in Virginia personally, but I wouldn't go that far out. I would really look to see if, not that there is, what I'm about to say is probably impossible, but I would look to maybe Arlington or somewhere that's more sort of closer into the city, inside the Beltway.
Even Springfield on the Beltway itself.
Yeah, that would be a good. But again, I mean, you're talking about a land use problem here because there's just not a lot of vacant land and it's very expensive, and that's why they're looking at Loudoun County, because there's a lot of empty farmland and fields out there.
Yeah. Here's what you do, because the place everyone's always talked about is putting it in Oxon Hill at the MGM Harbor. Go eminent domain on there's like a golf club right by Old Town Alexandria, and just
you and I talked about this once.
Did we?
Yes, we talked about this on this show. There's a golf course there that would be perfect. But Rick Snyder talked me out of of the National Harbor area, just because the state of Maryland has spent so much money on gambling and stuff there that Rick kind of convinced me that it's not going to go there.
There's a feasibility issue with that. I realize that.
But that golf course you're talking about would be perfect.
That would be the perfect spot because it's right by Metro.
Yes,
it's right on the border.
That would be what I would. And golf courses are a terrible land, use of golf courses are not the highest and best use of land ever.
Right. But the catch, as we all know, the people who are at the golf course have a lot of influence, generally speaking, in the community.
And they've spent a lot of money on their private golf course too.
Yeah. So that's the hardest part, of course. Dale City. When you start mentioning locations and I have to Google map them as a person who's lived in the DC area my entire life, that's not a good sign.
Hey, you're the one that said West Landover, man.
That's true. I did.
I was the one that knew that you were wrong, and I haven't lived there in 20 years.
Yeah. Do you know where Dale City? Actually, you might know where Dale City is because I think there's a military base right by it. So, and you know where all the military bases are. So yeah. That's like the edge of what I'd even consider Northern Virginia at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I hear you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the name of that golf course. It's going to drive me crazy.
The one in Alexandria?
Yeah.
It's Bellhaven.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Be on the lookout, Bellhaven Golf Course.
Yes.
Washington's coming after you.
That'll be the day.
Yeah.
All right. I pull up my notes here. What else did we have? Jay Gruden could be the offensive coordinator of the Panthers. No one cares about that except for me because suddenly the Panthers are building my dream coaching staff with a former Temple head coach and Jay Gruden. And Ron Rivera says he won't go to the Senior Bowl since he can't talk to players. He doesn't think it's worth his time as the head coach. All his scouts will be there and position coaches, and so
I think that's weak.
Yeah,
I
dislike
the head coach.
Yeah,
I mean, go watch these guys in person for God's sakes. What else do you have to do?
Right,
this is your primary
your
job,
number one
dude.
priority.
Yeah, it's your primary job in life right now. Unless there's some cancer or health reason why he shouldn't travel, and maybe there is, and he doesn't want to say, he ought to be there.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I assume Jamal agrees.
Bellhaven Golf,
Yeah, I mean, I feel it. I think that Ron is in a situation, where he has to kind of, he has to be present with these evaluations, man. You say it's a big year for you.
Right.
Probably it's a good idea to be publicly involved with scouting and evaluating.
Yeah, I mean, if he was like in Jay Gruden's situation where Jay never got to pick his players, then I wouldn't be annoyed by it. But Ron has the final call on all.
Yeah, that's why I'm so annoyed by it because he is the man in this situation.
Right. You have that say. You should be there.
Don't worry, it's only your quarterback. I mean, who cares, right?
Jay Gruden didn't get to pick a player before the third round, so he could just kind of skip and do whatever he wanted. Let's see.
Before I forget, in terms of news, there is no more trademark news.
Okay.
From last week. I think I mentioned last week. Did I mention? I said it's on IJB, I guess. So there's this stupid me for not knowing Harry Potter.
No,
references.
You're better off.
Better off not knowing Harry Potter?
Yes.
So I have been checking the trademark logs like every day here. And last week I noticed that somebody had filed a trademark for Washington Admirals. And I saw it was the National Quidditch League. And I just assumed that was some sport from God knows where that I had never heard of before.
And it was.
Well, and my paralegal, who is a massive Harry Potter fan, heard me talking about this and was like, "That's Harry Potter, you moron," and I didn't know. So somebody who's playing a fake sport out of a book has filed a trademark for the Washington Admirals. Other than that, there's no trademark news.
Well, so aside from the fact that obviously the game in Harry Potter involves magic and thus makes it a fake sport, yes, I agree. I agree.
It's a fake sport because it's in a book.
Well, all sports are fake. They're just made up rules that some dude came up with to kill time because they didn't have TV yet.
You're siding with the Harry Potter nerds.
No, I'm siding with the fact that all sports are just we make them up, and that's fine. The difference is they have real rules that you can enforce. This one involves flying around on a broom, which no one can do.
Does it? I see. I've not seen 1 minute of a Harry Potter movie, and I've not read one word of a Harry Potter book.
So it's rugby, but you're flying on a broom. Think of it that way.
So I'm guessing they're running around on brooms.
Yes, they're running around with brooms between their legs and throwing balls at each other. And obviously never having sex. I'm just going to put that out there.
Those people have filed a trademark application for the Washington Admirals.
Right. I don't want to defend it because I hate Harry Potter. I think it's the stupidest.
My paralegal's going to come after you for that.
Let him.
Her.
I said That could be. Yeah. Okay. That's gender neutral. All right. That is it in terms of the stuff I had in terms of local news with the team. Anything else, or as we wrap up?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I could babble about my frustration with the name stuff, but I'll spare you. I wrote a column about this.
Yes.
You can go read that if you want.
It's a long one. It's a rant.
It wasn't that long. It was only 1,000 words or so. For me, that's not very long.
Fair enough. Jamal, you got any last words?
No, I am good.
Jamal's like lying down or something. Yeah. I think he's falling asleep.
Well, I had to get up because Dakota kept jumping on the couch. Like I said, and I had to move I'm over here at the table.
Oh, okay. Bad Dakota.
Yeah. Saturday.
All right, guys. That should wrap up this week's episode. Tune in next week. We'll talk more about the next round of the playoffs and whatever else Washington does with their chicanery and tomfoolery. And that will be that. Later.
Yeah, I had to get that rant out.